joining me now to discuss is Georgia Republican Senator David Perdue. Senator Perdue, thanks for joining us. Obviously, that was a major surprise, and it wasn't the only surprising economic data. For the last month, almost every piece of data that's come in has been far better than Wall Street anticipated, but the carnage is still significant. Where does that leave Washington, D.C. with respect to putting more money into society?
Well, Charles, good morning. First of all, I think this report is very encouraging. We thought it might be as much as 8 million jobs lost. Instead, it was about 2.5, approximately. New jobs created, the largest ever, we think, right now. I think that's a function of several things, Charles. One, the PPP program is working. There's a pent-up demand out here. And I really think people want to get back to work. And so we are about halfway through the full allocation of this $2.9 trillion in the CARES Act and all the relief work we've been doing over the last 3 months. Only about half of it has been disseminated so far. So we want to see how that's impacting. This jobs report is one of the variables we look at, but it's early. We've got a lot of work to do. Charles, we can learn from other countries who are ahead of us in this cycle. We can learn from our military, and we can learn from essential workers who have been operating all along with the protocols of safety that that have been designated by our public health officials. We can do this if we follow the guidelines and reopen the economy, which is what the president's three-phase plan approach is all about.
There's no doubt about that, but the participation rate is still 6 million less than it was in February, and total jobs are down 21.5 million from February. I think what really was magical about what's happening right now is the swiftness. We remember during the Great Recession, it took 3 to 4 months for the federal government to help Main Street. This time it took 3 to 4 weeks. Are you concerned about waiting for data or becoming too data dependent that you can't get ahead of a slump, of a recurring slump?
Well, there's always that danger, Charles. But first of all, let's applaud the real heroes in this thing. In the PPP program, you just mentioned, it took several months before, back in the Great Recession 10 years ago, to get relief out there. And this one, because of community banks. And by the way, those community banks have been saved by this bipartisan Dodd-Frank bill we passed in January of 18. Prior to that, because of Dodd-Frank, we had killed 4,000 community banks. Those community banks, we went from 800 SBA approved lenders to 5,000 in a matter of a few weeks. They put out over 5 million loans, averaging $116,000. $510 billion is in that PPP program that's already been disseminated. We haven't even put any money out yet in the Main Street program. So half the money is still to come in the current allocation. So I think there's enough energy in here. Now, we may have to pump up the PPP program a little bit if we have some future need, but we've extended the time that they can use it from 8 weeks to 24 weeks, the time to pay it back from 2 months or 2 years to 5 years. It's much more flexible now. And we can see that there's a possibility that we might be able to reprogram some Main Street money back into the PP program without having to appropriate new funds. But that's yet to come. The biggest problem we have right now to reopen the economy, Charles, is the liability issue. And that's what we're debating right now in Congress. We've been fully functional now over the last month. I've been traveling on airlines. I've been eating in restaurants in Georgia over the last month. And people are ready to get this economy open. And we can do it if we protect the most vulnerable and follow the protocols that have been laid out that our essential workers have been following all along.
President Trump has expressed a desire, though, to provide more funds, and I think maybe we change the language a little bit. Instead of calling it, before I think everything we consider relief, but maybe perhaps stimulus to truly get us over the hump, to truly get the households to spend that $6 trillion. He seems like he wants to do it, but I feel like there's a lot of Republican pushback. In an election year, how dangerous is it not to come up with extra funding, knowing that the economy could still stumble before November?
Well, the thing that separates Republicans from Democrats, in my view, Charles, is the sense of fiscal responsibility. I mean, we have $23 trillion of debt. We have a little over $1 trillion shortfall every year right now. Our mandatory expenses, our trust funds are in danger of becoming totally insolvent. So, I mean, these are responsibilities we need to be very careful with. Yeah.
Sir, I'm out of time, but we're going to definitely have to continue to pick this up. I hear where you're coming from. I'm not sure the American public is concerned about debt and deficits at this moment, but we do commend the administration because we are coming out of this a lot faster than anyone thought. We appreciate your time. Thank you so much, Senator.
Thanks, Charles.